Greetings, everyone.
I'm back, baby.
It's Jake Ciely.
I'm great. Everybody else sucks.
Oh,
Oh no! It's every nightmare I've ever had!
Excuse me?
It's time to check the link.
Pretty crazy, huh? But it doesn't matter because none of this has anything to do with the show.
You know what? You just made the list!
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time. Really? No.
What's up, you ducks? What better way to start off Week 10 than for the live people to have a delay? Because Week 10 was another insane ridiculousness of football, and we had a little technical difficulties. But hey, if you're watching in Canada, welcome to all the Canadian friends, and you don't even know about that. You just know Chris. You know Chris Meaney, and you're following Chris Meaney, hopefully, at Chris Meaney. I just said your name 10 times. And hey, NHL's live. I've been texting Chris about NHL. That's how you know NHL is going on, because we're texting. I'm actually texting him about my Rangers. But make sure you're going over to the FTN and see everything that Chris is doing. And I mean, if you want to win in NHL, you're following him. FTN is code ALLIN for 20% off. TheAthletic.com/BetsTV, all capitals, is how you get a first free month at The Athletic. I already see the Agnew comments coming in. You're like, yeah, I don't care that he had 0 receptions. You know what? Because he still had another great day. Because Jamal Agnew and Ty Johnson will not stop being things, Chris. But that's not even what I was going to lead the show with. Can you guess what I was going to lead the show with?
No, actually, I can't. I thought maybe it would be Agnew. I thought that's where we would start here today.
No, we're not starting with Agnew. We're starting from a retweet that I sent out that blew up kind of a little bit for Jamie Eisenberg of CBS Sports, one of the best in the business, one of my first friends in the industry, my biggest first friend in the industry, who tweeted out last night, it looks like the Monstars gave Patrick Mahomes his powers back. That's what it comes down to. The Kansas City Chiefs are back, Chris. Look, this is something we were concerned about. We talked Ducks last week, gave them 2.5. I broke down everything of what teams were doing and how they were doing it. And if you watch the Raiders game, not only did they not do a very good job, didn't do a whole ton of cover 2. Like, it wasn't 80% of the game was cover 2, but they just didn't do anything right. Mostly because of what we talked about, Chris, and what happened was Patrick Mahomes had to trust everybody else. And that's why I only gave him 2.5 Ducks last week, as I said, because Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes are better than most. They're smart enough. Do we need to, not need to, do we want to see it first? Sure. Is that why I have Patrick Mahomes at 6 at quarterback and not 2 or 1 behind Josh Allen, somewhere right around there? Sure. Still top 6, though, because you still weren't benching Patrick Mahomes. Did you see enough in one game? I'm thinking yes, because, again, he trusted everybody else. He trusted Pringle and, I was about to say Noah Fant. That was not his the third tight end, the rookie. I'm having a brain fart now. Like, they're just so excited to talk about him now. Oh, what the hell's his name? Anyway, continue. Somebody in the chat, help me out. But anyway, trusted everybody else. Tyreek Hill throwing screens all day long to Daryl Williams. He exposed the entire defense instead of forcing it to Hill and Kelsey. Have you seen enough? Like, do you go from 2.5 Ducks to 0? 100%. But thank you, Noah Gray. God, I can't believe this. See, the Noah came into my mind, and immediately went to Fant. And once I got Fant, I couldn't get back to Gray. But anyway, are you back to 0? Was that enough? One game to say the Chiefs are 100% back?
Yeah, big game from Gray. How could you forget him? 1 catch, 3 yards, a touchdown.
Hey, that's all it takes at tight end.
Absolutely, that's really all it takes. I still saw some crazy throws from him, like the one to Daryl Williams in like the end zone. That was nice. Like, it was a great catch, but also at the same time, if you watch the play and then the replay, there was like McCall Hardman was wide open to like doing this 10 yards. Like, I'm right here, man. Like, this is the easy completion, but Mahomes goes for the highlight reel, and after
counterpoint,
he got it. Play, he got it, sure. And after he made that play, did you see him on the sidelines? He's like, highlight reel. Like, it's still pretty flashy with Mahomes, but at that point, they were up 3 scores, and yeah, they're having some fun. It was a great bounce-back game for everybody, right? I mean, Tyreek Hill hooked up a couple touchdowns. Travis Kelce was a beast. Mahomes has 5 touchdowns and over 400 yards. It's what that's what Mahomes can do at any given moment. So, yeah, I mean, signs in the right direction, certainly. My biggest question with this team is now, like, the running back position. Like, when Clyde Edwards-Helaire comes back, like, what's his role?
Hey, don't jump ahead.
What does his role look like? Well, we're talking about the Chiefs. Like, that's it. That's the only question I have about this team. Like, the big statement game from them yesterday.
By the way, I don't know if you see this. This is Kylo Ren and Stimpy instead of Ren and Stimpy for my shirt today. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I'm
lame and I'm rocking.
Yeah, Angels and Eagles, so everybody can sit here and be like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" All over the place. Hey, I appreciate Jiggles watching us in a hotel room. Look at that. I love it.
Very nice.
On the road. Really, what it comes down to is again
65-inch.
Trusted. I know when he said 65-inch, I was like, does he know what TV I have? Like, I didn't read the full question at first. Like, why is he talking about TVs? Really, what it comes down to, like I said, is they trust everybody. Mahomes trusts everybody. They get Dallas this week. I think that seeing the vulnerabilities in the Dallas defense, we expect another good game going forward. And I wouldn't be surprised. Why I said they're back, Chris, is I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs still win the division. Like, they're still not done for it. It's still one of the biggest threats. I was going through my buddy in the standings on both sides, and I was like, man, the AFC has legitimately 8 teams that look like, oh, we could be in the playoffs. And I say in the first round, be like, all right, probably one in, like Browns, if they make the playoffs, you're probably one and done. But there's some that you can be like, hey, maybe they surprise us. You go to the NFC, and it's like, okay, I see 5, and then nobody else I want to get. Like, until yesterday, Atlanta was still like on the fringe of a playoff at 4-4. And like, really? Atlanta's 4? Really? So that being said, I think they're still one of the favorites. You brought up my next question. Daryl Williams has looked really good in the time that Edwards-Helaire has been out. There was some speculation from Brandon Funston on the Athletics show. He's like, well, what if Edwards-Helaire was better complement for the offense? And maybe that's part of the reason they're struggling. Just throwing out like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And Edwards-Helaire, even before he got hurt, was still getting some opportunities taken away by Daryl Williams, and even so in the passing game. So you just said it. We're thinking Edwards-Helaire could come back and be like a 60-40. Is he coming back to a 60-40? He's the 40. That's the question now, because I think that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, I think that's what we're looking at too. You and I talk all the time about easing running backs into like the workload that they had before, and he did have a significant workload before before he suffered the injury. He just wasn't all that efficient with some of the carries. But I mean, Williams looked really good again yesterday, and catching balls too, right? I mean, 9 catches is not something that you can really bank on, but man, Clyde Edwards-Helaire wasn't really catching a lot of balls out of the backfield too. So I think when he comes back, it's definitely a split, don't you think? I mean, if you're the Chiefs and I'm sure Andy Reid wants to use his first-round pick from a couple years ago. They see the upside there, but if Williams has another game where he's productive inside this offense, I mean, why would they go away from him? So I'm thinking this is a split, and I don't think I'm really confident that CEH is going to be like the goal line back, because he's had so many issues. Short career, right? Still learning the game, but he's had a lot of issues running the ball in from the 10 and from the 5.
I'm sighing because in my head, like the people, like the victory lap people that don't take running backs are like, this is the worst pick, and this is why in the first round. I'm like, oh my God, like just shut up. Look, yeah, Najee Harris is a really terrible pick in the first round. Like, sure. Guess what?
I wish I had
50% to first rounders don't pan out, and then it goes worse from there. So like, it's not just only running backs don't pan out. Don't victory lap that. I'm saying for the people out there. The Las Vegas side was miserable, mainly for one reason, that even in this game, and even with Kenyon Drake around, I expected a hell of a lot more from Josh Jacobs. Everybody.
Kidding.
Josh Jacobs was top 15 running back, and nothing. The only thing on this side of the game was Brian Edwards. Hey, said don't drop him. Say hold on life. Deshaun Jackson's going to fill the Henry Ruggs role and bring Brian Edwards back, and he did. And then Deshaun Jackson also threw the ball away. It like legitimately looked like he tried to throw the ball. I don't know what the hell that was about.
That's not even the craziest thing Deshaun Jackson's ever done. I saw people last night on Twitter like, what was Deshaun Jackson thinking? Like, worst play of all time. Did you not watch him years ago with the Eagles when he had like an 80-yard touchdown from McNabb and he just like tossed it behind him at the goal line? Like, that's not even the top
Jackson's
5 craziest
the king
thing he's
of
done.
giving up the ball. It's like on purpose. I don't know what it is.
That was wild.
So Renfro, another good game from Renfro. Is there really much to take out of this game? Because Darren Waller is for everybody. Josh Jacobs was crap for everybody. I mean, what do you? It's just sideways. Down 20. Was it 17-7 before the half? Is that just really what it came down to? Is it just an off week for the Raiders?
I don't know. Like Waller does seem. I don't know. We're heading into week 11. Can we call him a bust? He's definitely a bust.
If you took him in the second round,
he's a bust.
There's no question about it.
Yeah, there's no question. We can label him as a bust, especially after that monster week 1 game that he had, where it looked like he was just going to get double-digit targets every week. Renfro's a stud. Renfro's a stud. For me, he's going to be ranked as a wide receiver 3 the rest of the way, especially in a full point setting. You said it last week. Tino and I talked about it on Mean Streets. Brian Edwards, don't give up. It was the one game against your Giants. His game against KC here, I still think he's like the number 2 in this offense among wide receivers, and Jackson's just a dart throw. But yeah, I have concerns about Waller, and Jacobs having 7 carries. Like, everybody has ran all over this team. I know game script got away from them, but it didn't look like they even really tried to run the football at first. Yeah, that was puzzling.
So there's a question in here that from Sandstra says Pitts or Waller. I'm still taking Waller. So Waller on the season is 6th. He's behind Pitts, but Pitts has also played one more game, so he's only 3 points in front of him. He still has 0.8 more per game than Pitts. I'll still give, and that's not just the only reason why. Like, I was going to take Waller anyway, but I was looking this up. Waller's actually tied with George Kittle in his brief appearances at 10.4 per game. That's the one I was going to bring up, is that George Kittle is in front of him for me, and so is Mark Andrews. I think going forward, we're talking about the Kyle Pitts is a good conversation to have, is we're talking about Waller as tight end 4/5, not tight end 2, period.
Right. Yeah, totally agree. I'm just looking at the back of his football card here, the game log. Man, he's only scored double-digit fantasy points in a half-point setting 3 times, which is pretty wild, man. Yeah, Waller, like 4 points, 8, 6. I know he hasn't been 100%.
This is why, and I'm not like, this is like this. I say it's fine if you want to take Kelsey at the end of the first round, but this is why I never do it. And I never take, like, I have Waller on 0 teams. I only have Kittle on some teams because he fell to the 5th round. And like, okay, at that point, I'll take Kittle. This is why I don't take tight ends. And it can work out. I'm not saying it always is my favorite. It's like, when you take the tight ends in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, Andrew, like what, they have to be their best. Like, they can't finish even 90%, because if they finish 90%, you double lost. You lost the value that they could bring, because you're basically always paying for that 100% premium. You're paying for the premium. So if they don't do that, you also lost what you gave up to take them there, the running back or the wide receiver, so you get double hit. So yes, it's fine, but they have to be themselves. Like, you could even argue Kelsey this year is not worth a first rounder. He's not. And he's double killed you because you passed on. You know what you passed on at the end of the first round, Chris? Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, like those type of those were the end of the first round running backs. Was a lot of people are saying
Taylor's looking like the MVP of the first round, and I think
real quick, I was going to move on, but since we're on a tight end conversation, I'll throw these in there. Air Fryermuth, where does he fall into this? Still behind him. Air Fryermuth, Eric Ebron was 40% to 60% for Fryermuth. Like, I love Fryermuth, but I was concerned about that Eric Ebron. I had a little bit of faith because no Claypool that Fryermuth could, and he still did admirably well. But that's to get that many snaps and routes, more specifically, taken away in Ebron's first game back. Fryermuth is still in like the Dawson Knox, Dallas Goedert, like low end tight end 1 conversation, and the other one was Logan Thomas. I would put Logan Thomas above them. Logan Thomas in his 3 games before being hurt, double digits. Logan Thomas was tight end 5-ish. I honestly think if we get a healthy Logan Thomas, he's in the Waller conversation.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He was playing 100% of the snaps, if healthy. And Ricky Seals-Jones looked like he was part of the offense. I mean, he was getting some targets, and then he left yesterday with an injury. So I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's a long-term thing, but he didn't look good. He needed help getting off the field. Logan Thomas, they just said, last week, midweek, he just wasn't ready. But this was a guy who was playing 100% of the snaps. I'm totally in that camp too. And 2 guys that it seems like all they do is catch touchdowns is Hunter Henry, again, wild. And I know we're talking tight ends here, but he's a guy too. Like, it's like, oh, yeah, he had 2 catches, but both of those catches were tight ends. Yeah, no Jonnu. Yeah. And then Ty Conklin, another one who just seems, I think he had 2 grabs.
He's finally coming around, too, yeah.
He had 2 touchdowns.
I had Hunter Henry still as a low-end tight end 1. I was like, even with no Jonnu, I was like, because he needs a touchdown. Now, of course, he gets 2, but,
I think teams would game plan for him, Jake, because it's the only thing they do in the red zone. It's either they hand it off to their running back or they throw it to Hunter Henry.
Throw it to the It's really true, honestly.
Yeah.
But I still put him in the same, like, Hunter Henry, Dawson Knox, Tyler Conklin, like all the touchdown, like on the reverse side, who doesn't need a touchdown, who's the opposite of these, is the Dan Arnold, who's just all he's getting is yards, but no touchdown. Yeah. Like, they're all in that same conversation. Yes, we do have to talk about Mr. Heineke, who I was ready. I told him, I was like, the jersey's going to have to come down at some point if he doesn't knock it off. But at least for 1 week, Chris, He is better than the best quarterback of all time. The new GOAT is Tyler Heinicke, at least for 1 week, at least for week 10, because any given Sunday in football, if you took one game out of the equation, and if you had never watched football ever in your life, Chris, that you have no, like, I'm trying to think like a good example. Like, if you asked me to watch a game of water polo, this would be like, it's like, you would think Heinicke is a better quarterback than Tom Brady after watching one single game. And honestly, on the Bucs side of it, like, all jokes aside, Chris Godwin played through an injury, looked good. Mike Evans got his touchdown saved this day, but Fournette was kind of okay. Not, didn't score, didn't have 100 total yards, but did some of the passing game. But is this another? This is just one-off week. We just saw the week before that the Bills just one-off week against the Jaguars, which we're going to get to here in a second. But is it just this? Throw it up. Don't watch the tape. Just throw it away. We were off from day one. Tom Brady had 2 interceptions out of the gate, and good for Washington, for their fan base, but just throw the tape away. There's nothing to take away from this.
I think so, yeah. I mean, Washington's defense was trending up now. It looks like they lost Chase Young for the rest of the season, so that's tough. But Bruce Arians said it after the game that they're just a dumb football team, and I thought that was hilarious to hear him say that. I mean, that's it. He's like, we're not a smart football team. We are a dumb football team. And I think he was alluding to just some of the penalties that the team took and got them behind the 8 ball. But yeah, I mean, Tom Brady didn't look great. Credit to Washington. How about that drive? Washington sealed it with a 19-play, 80-yard drive that took off 10 minutes and 26 seconds off the clock as the longest time drive of the season. 19 plays is the tied for the most as well. I mean, credit to Washington and Heinicke. They played a pretty good game yesterday, and Antonio Gibson.
Well, you know who was key in that drive, and this is what I want to ask you.
Gibson.
13 days. Now, all the reports were this needs 3+ weeks to heal. What's going on with Gibson? So that, by doctors' reports, not saying me, saying everybody out there, every site you could find, doctors are saying that kind of shin fracture that he's got, that little hairline thing, that whatever's going on, that it's not 100%, and it won't be. But Gibson looked good. Gibson, if you didn't know was hurt, you wouldn't think was hurt. Now, it was volume for a lot of it. The numbers don't look great. Wasn't averaging over 4 yards per carry, but he's against the Buccaneers defense, and he looked good. Scored twice. Big part in that drive. How confident? Like, I'll put it this way, Chris. If you could trade him now, what would be the minimum you have to take to get him off your team? Because are you ready to at least ride him out if you don't get at least that? Like, are you saying I need an RB1 because he looked good enough yesterday that I can trust him as an RB 15, 16 going forward? Or are you still terrified and say, if I can get a top 20 running back value, I'm still getting out of this?
Yeah, I would make him available because I would be looking to get rid of him. This would be the time for me. I mean, you're right. I mean, the volume was there, 24 carries, but I mean, sub 3 yards per attempt. He wasn't all that efficient. You could talk about the Bucs defense all you want. Tough matchup. He only had, I think, 1 catch out of the backfield. But you know what Gibson did last season was, even when he wasn't efficient, he scored touchdowns. I think this is just an outlier game, to be honest with you. A game where they were up. I'm looking ahead at the schedule, as you know, I always do. Carolina. There are some games where they're going to have to play from behind. At Carolina, this is a decent one. But, the Panthers' run defense has been okay. Seattle's run defense has been okay, too. But the volume is really everything in fantasy football. So I would view him as an RB2. It's kind of how I always viewed him. You and I think we're on the same page. A lot of people in the fantasy community wanted him to be a low-end RB1, catching balls. I view him as an RB2. I would flip him if I could.
Chris. You know what I was just thinking of?
What?
I was just thinking we haven't done something in a while. And, we're trying to figure out who we would trade Gibson for because there's people in here saying, would you trade him for Barkley? Yes, immediately trade him for Barkley.
Absolutely.
But for the rest of the season, like, I'm kind of thinking, like, there's names and we can kind of figure out where would we put Gibson. And I'm thinking, do you know what we do when we're trying to do that? Do you know how we can figure this out, Chris?
I'm not sure. What do you think? What would we do?
We can make a list! There we go. As Barkley pops up at my feet. I don't know what just happened.
Yeah, you probably.
We're making a list. It hasn't been a while since we've done this, Chris. So rest of season, Gibson or let's get the early ones out of the way. Christian McCaffrey, yes. Jonathan Taylor, yes. Saquon Barkley, yes. Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, yes. All right. So now let's start having a conversation. Alvin Kamara, not knowing what's going on. Would you take Alvin Kamara for Antonio Gibson?
Oh, that's a good one. I would take Kamara. I'd take the risk. Again, it is all about context. If you need W's now, you take Gibson, but I would take Kamara.
Okay. Ezekiel Elliott, I forgot to throw in. That's an easy one, too. I forgot to throw him in. The touchdown. Actually, a very much Antonio Gibson-like day yesterday.
Yeah, very much.
Tony Pollard was getting more involved, annoyingly. All right. I'm definitely taking this one, even before he plays tonight. Darrell Henderson.
Yes.
Okay. Cordero Patterson.
Oh, I'd take Cordell Patterson. Holy crap. I can't believe I'd ever say that, but I would take Cordell Patterson.
I think we're taking Cordell Patterson. How about James Robinson?
Yeah, I would take Robinson. It took him a little bit to
Swift?
get going, but he got going. Yes, for sure, Swift. The craziest thing about Swift yesterday, he played like 90% of the snaps, and the other two backup
Jamar
running
Jefferson
backs
got
played
hurt.
like 6 snaps, and they find the end zone. I know, but
Yeah.
I just got vultured a couple times.
I actually was going to rank in Wuku Boogadoogie, whatever his name was, but they didn't have him eligible because he's the former safety, and you couldn't put him at running back. I was like, but he's the third running back. Like, anyway, all right, David Montgomery. We're taking David Montgomery over Antonio Gibson?
Yes.
Okay, so we got Swift, James Robinson, Leonard Fournette over Antonio Gibson?
I'd take Fournette, yeah.
Okay. Assuming Aaron Jones misses 3 weeks.
Ooh.
Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon or Antonio Gibson?
I would take, oh my goodness. I think I would take both Packers backs. I think I would take both Packers. I think I would take A.J. Dillon.
Of course,
if you told me Jones is going to be out for 3 weeks, I'd take Dillon for sure.
Okay, yeah. So that's the thing is we don't know what's going on with Aaron Jones. Have to pay attention. If Aaron Jones was done for the year, I would still take A.J. Dillon.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, if you could, maybe you're a Jones. I don't know if you could do that. I was like Jones for Gibson. You probably can't do that.
You better not say the wrong name on this one. Elijah Mitchell or Antonio Gibson?
I'd take an Elijah Mitchell.
That's the right name. There you go, Elijah Mitchell.
Hell yeah.
James Conner.
Ooh. Yeah, not all that efficient yesterday, right? I would take him though. He finds a way to score a touchdown every game. I'd take that guy.
Josh Jacobs.
I would take Jacobs. We're getting real close though.
We're finally getting close. The Denver running backs plural. Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams.
I may take Gibson over these guys. Because it's a committee. It still could be a committee in Washington, though, man. Like, again, we can't just overlook
McKissick
this. They were up
involved
in that game. Yes, McKissick.
How about Michael Carter and Antonio Gibson?
I'll take Gibson, but in a full point, I would take Carter.
Okay. And last one, if Damian Harris comes back this week, because we're going to pivot into the Patriots games coming after this. Okay, so there you go. We have officially made Antonio Gibson not even a top 20 running back. But
you agree, right? You agree?
I don't disagree with any of them. That's really what it comes down to. The conversation you start having now, Carter, I don't even know if I make that trade. I don't make wash trades. Unless I always say if you really want to do it, if you really like the other player, go with your gut, whatever. I don't make wash trades because I didn't improve my team. So what's the point? It's kind of like when people ask me, do I prefer to hold on to before Aaron Jones got hurt yesterday, so it's not the best example, but I was going to say A.J. Dillon or, another high-end backup, like that type of thing is, who do you want? Well, it's whoever gets hurt first. You could chase the wrong one. But anyway, so there you go. Is that you would do Gibson over CEH? Not know what's going on now, right?
Yeah, I would take Gibson at that point. I mean, in a half-point setting, you could make a case for. Actually, in a full point setting, you can make a case for Carter over Gibson. Would you? I mean, he's still probably in line for a couple catches out of the backfield. He's getting a lot of the goal line work. What are you looking for?
I was looking for Jericho. Oh, there he is.
Oh yeah, there. Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah. There we go. We made the list. Oh, by the way,
while.
SmackDown was awesome, by the way. Although there was only like 6 matches. I don't know if you saw the video of how close we were, like right up on the barricade. Go look at my Instagram, dude. I was on the barricade. Like it was like super close. I really wanted to go to ADW on Wednesday night, but it's Wednesday night and that's mid-work. Monday through Wednesday. Open. I was going to say open to close. Morning till night, I'm working. All right, let's talk about the Patriots because Stevenson balled out with no Damian Harris. So are we headed towards the inevitable Patriots games if Damian Harris is back next week, and the fact that now it's who the hell do you even trust? Or are you saying Damian Harris is not going to get Wally pipped?
Man, short week here too, right? I think this is going to be a straight-on committee. That's how I view it. I think Harris is the vet here, even though Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, you could get one more week out of Stevenson if he doesn't clear concussion protocol. That game, obviously, Thursday in Atlanta here, so that you can get one more week. I'd be in the camp, we're talking about like selling guys and trading guys, I'd be in the camp of flipping him if you can. I mean, this is probably the last week to make trades in like standard leagues. I would move on from him. You get the bye week 14 too. So, I mean, I think this is a good opportunity to move on.
By the way, for everybody out there for 10 straight weeks who said this is the week, finally you got to say, haha, I told you this was the week Jacoby Myers scores.
Yes.
Does it count if it's 10% correct? I don't think it counts if it's 10% correct. So the entire Patriots, I say that because the wide receivers are the same thing as the running backs have been. It's just, why bother? Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne now this week. You know, like just all of them is just as frustrating as it gets with Aguilar and all the rest. And so have fun.
Mac Jones, though, man, good for him, man. That guy looks pretty good. He looks, man, he looks poised in the pocket. Accuracy's on point. Patriots have an identity.
I don't understand why people are like surprised. This is what we expected from Mac Jones. Mac Jones was the safe play. Like we always talk about, like in fantasy. All right, well, do you need the safe points or do you need the boomer bust ceiling? Well, Mac Jones was always the safe play. He was the accurate. Just trust him out there to not get. I don't know what game it was. There was a game yesterday, and somebody said, "Why did game manager become such a negative?" Like. Game manager doesn't have to be a negative thing. As game manager could just be like you play within your offense. So, you know, if you're going for boomer bust, Fields and Lance, so anyway, that being said, on Cleveland side of things, holy crap, you want to talk about bust. There was nothing in this game outside of the run, and that was Dearness Johnson. Going forward with Nick Chubb back, like Jarvis Landry, the tight ends, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and like, is it just running back and that's it for Cleveland going forward, period?
Yeah, I think so, man. They need, you know, I think last week we talked about the Bills needing to run the football, have more of a balanced attack. At Cleveland, the opposite. They need to teams are not respecting them. Yeah, teams are not respecting them at all. I know that Bill Belichick has this sign up in the Patriots locker room, stop the run, do your job. I mean, that's exactly what they did. And if you stop Cleveland's running game, you have success. I know Baker's not 100%, but yeah, I wouldn't feel good about Landry. Donovan Peoples-Jones is like a dart throw. He had, I think, 5 or 6 targets. He only reeled in one of those catches. And the tight ends, it's not great, man. The offense pays to run the football. Yeah, can you even play Baker in a super flex? Like if you're super thin at the position, you can't. Like you can't roll this guy. I don't think you can. As your number 2 quarterback, I would, even though Mike White didn't have a good game, I would roll out Mike White because I know he's going to throw the ball 40+ times.
No, because Mike White's time is done. That's Zach Wilson's coming back. Yeah, there's plenty of quarterbacks. I would have started him over Trevor Siemian, as we just saw like Taysom Hill's back into that mix. Let's talk about that.
There's like 2 or 3 quarterbacks that you could start over Baker. That's it.
See how long
we may have to make another list. No, let's not do it. Let's not make a list. But honestly, there's not a lot of quarterbacks.
We don't have time for 2 lists in one show.
Because we'd be here forever naming 25 other quarterbacks.
I know. So for the Saints, Hill's getting involved, but we're not talking about the quarterbacks. That's going to be, for fantasy purposes, we actually hope that Hill takes over because then we would actually have a potential QB1 in our hands. But Deontay Harris, Traquan Smith scores, Marquez Callaway, or is it Marquez? Yeah. I know Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but is it Marquez or Marquez? Like I want to know. It's all the same, but anyway, Callaway. Trotman is getting back involved.
He is.
So on the passing side of things, because Mark Ingram was what we expected. Fortunately, they got that touchdown later in the game. I think it was like the third quarter by that point, but Ingram had a nice day with no Kamara. But anything in this passing game, because I feel like, you know what? It's the Patriots. The Saints are the Patriots in the passing game. Good luck picking who it's going to be this week.
I agree 100%. I mean, Traquan led the way with snaps and routes and targets, and you would think that he would be the guy. Like if you looked at the game and you watched it and you're projecting moving forward, I mean, for me, I'm saying Traquan, but I don't feel all that confident with him. Like I'm not going to rank him as wide receiver 3. I wouldn't feel comfortable rolling him out as a flex in a standard 12-team league. I'd be looking at other options, but I think he's the lead. And then Marquez just behind him. But Deontay Harris only played 26 snaps, ran 19 routes. Like he's just the deep threat guy in this offense. You're right. Trotman is trending up here. He's had a couple games in a row with some targets. He's had a couple bad drops, but I don't think I want anything to do with this offense. It's Ingram or it's Kamara. That's really it.
It's really, that's the biggest thing is the routes, the touches that are frustrating. And you know what? Speaking of the touches and the frustration of it, where is it? I'm trying to find this game so we could talk about it. Let's talk about Buffalo and the Jets, and let's talk about the fact that all 3 Bills running backs score. But you want to talk about touches? Let's talk about the fact that Matt Breida at the point had 4 touches and 2 touchdowns, similar to Kenyon Drake a few weeks ago. But then Singletary gets in the end zone, and Zach Moss actually reversed. Zach Moss got in, and then Singletary got in. You still want nothing to do with any of the Bills running backs, correct?
No, it's when you're in a pinch, you roll out Moss and Singletary, and you hope they find the end zone like they did. I mean, that's basically it. It was nice to see Diggs have a strong game. I mean, his catch prop was the lowest I've ever seen at 5.5. You know, he smashed that 13 targets, but that's it, man. This Bills. It's nice to see them try to establish a run a little bit, but is that just because they were up by so many points? I still think this team needs to have a balanced attack, but yeah, that's it.
Diggs is back now. No Emmanuel Sanders, really. No Cole Beasley, really. Gabriel Davis. Here's the interesting thing. Gabriel Davis out there. I want to double check, but I think he was out there almost as much, if not more, than Cole Beasley, which was the concern that we had earlier this year.
Yeah, Jake. Beasley only played 9 snaps.
So this is what I said. We had this happen at the beginning of the season, and Beasley was trending down for weeks and then came back, and it just seemed to be matchups, but there was nothing really there on paper to say, like, all these teams are similarities. So going forward, Dawson Knox also did nothing, essentially. No. Is there anything from Sanders, Beasley, Davis, and Knox? Are you taking anything away from this game where you're saying, going forward, I say this?
I've been down this road before with Davis. Davis was like a bold prediction for me. Yeah, he was one of my bold predictions that he'd finish as a top 20 wide receiver. Clearly going to get that wrong. But, you know, I do like his upside. This is year number 2, right? You know, last year towards the end of the season, he was getting a lot of targets and Josh Allen was looking his way. You know, he's explosive in the passing game. He's a deep threat guy. I am intrigued maybe that he'll become a spec ad for me, but this is still pretty crowded. I still think he's, at best, probably the 3rd option for Josh Allen, and that's just assuming that, you know, maybe even the 4th when Dawson Knox gets more, you know, if he gets a little bit more healthier and he's playing more snaps. I don't know. Is this a Beasley thing where he was just limited all week in practice with a rib injury? Is that it? They're playing the Jets? There's a lot of questions when it comes to this. And
there was only 29 or 30. There was 29 or 30 pass plays, so there wasn't even a ton. So exactly. He ran 8, like you said. Maybe that's part of the fact is because he was limited all week. So that's why I'm with you. Gabriel Davis still only ran 12, and Diggs ran 29, Sanders 25, 23 for Knox, as you mentioned. So I'm still looking at his potential here, Emmanuel Sanders going forward, but I'm not putting too much weight into the rest of it. On the Jets side of it, Carter had a rough day. Let's be honest about his day, but he did score the touchdown. Yeah. It's against the Bills. So positive, negative, just Michael Carter going forward is still an RB2, right? Simple as that.
Yeah, he found the end zone for you. Yeah.
Speaking of touches and opportunities, Elijah Moore saved his day with a late touchdown. If you have him out there, speaking of sell high, he is still far behind. And number 3, as mentioned, Corey Davis's return poo-pooed that opportunity there, unfortunately. So let's talk about somebody that you thought you were going to lead it with, Jamal Agnew. I don't want to even talk about Jamal Agnew. I'm having fun with Jamal Agnew just because it's so ridiculous that we have to keep talking about him. But what I want to talk about for the Jaguars is that the offense is crap. I mean, let's be honest. The offense is mega. Oh, that was a short one. It deserves a lot more than that. But I want to ask you, Chris, watching that game, just as much as I could tolerate, honestly. But last week against the Bills, and then Carson Wentz in the passing game does nothing. You know, Michael Pittman had an okay game, but they did nothing. T.Y. Hilton did nothing. Carson Wentz did nothing. 2 weeks in a row now. Is it enough for you to say the Jaguars' pass defense, not the Buccaneers' run is like, okay, whatever, but the Jaguars' pass defense is turning a corner in the fact that, like, let's respect them?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they just stopped. I mean, 2 weeks ago, what they did against the Bills was phenomenal. I mean, they played the cover 2. They had one safety deep, and they generated a lot of pressure. And they did the same thing on Carson Wentz. Yeah, I watched a lot of that game as well. I got way too much James Robinson and Marvin Jones in my life, but It is frustrating to watch this Jags team play offense, man. It is absolutely frustrating. But yeah, in defense, I thought that they held their own. They hung in that game, and they had a chance to win the game. They really did. They got the ball back down 6, an opportunity to march up the field and get a W. So you got to give them a lot of credit. But yeah, the offense in Indy is just runs through Jonathan Taylor. You get Pittman in there. That's it. That's all you really feel comfortable about. Ty didn't do a whole lot. Maybe just one game back.
There a ton though.
Yeah, I'm not hearing any setbacks or any injury concerns. So if this Colts team is really going to make a run, they need a healthy Ty. They need another element in the passing game.
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton was 26 routes to Pittman's 33. Zach Pascal ran 34, by the way, but T.Y. Hilton had 39 snaps. So he's out there a ton. Not quite on Pascal yet, but like you said, no setbacks. So you could look at it going forward. But yeah, T.Y. Hilton I thought would do a hell of a lot more. Atlanta and Dallas. I mean, that you don't want to. There's nothing else you want to take away from Indianapolis, right?
No, you already said it earlier.
Okay.
Dan Arnold's great. He's great rolling.
So
out
speaking
there
of, I was gonna say that this is why I was gonna go to this game is because speaking of crap offenses. So, look, Matt Ryan for most of the season is throwing 300 yards. Matt Ryan was like, hey, under the radar, sneaky QB 14-15. If you need somebody going against the Dallas defense, you're like, hey, let's use some Matt Ryan. Holy crap, was that bad? That was about as bad as you could get. Kyle Pitts was the only bright spot question mark, and it wasn't even that great of a day. Are we just, there's nothing here now? Like, can you even trust Matt Ryan in a good matchup anymore? Because that was a good matchup, and he didn't even do anything.
I'll never play him again. I got burned by him yesterday. I made a last-second swap. I know people were watching. I know what you hear. You can't get burned. You got to erase it. Forget last week. Go back to it.
It's New England on a short week. There's no
chance. Absolutely no chance I would play this guy against the Pats.
Matt Ryan or Baker Mayfield?
Oh, man. I take the 0. And I wouldn't play anybody just because Matt Ryan and Baker may give me negative points. I've seen them give negative fantasy points before. All right, I play Baker. No, honestly, I made a last-second swap yesterday. I was trusting my rankings. I was trusting our projections. It's not a shot at the projections. It was super tight over at FTN as Tannehill and then Matt Ryan. I was like, you know what? Like you said, good matchup. Pitt's trending up. Cordell Patterson. Maybe they're playing from behind here. They're an up-tempo team. They throw the football. They're in top 5 in terms of run or pass percentage. I'm gonna roll with Matt Ryan in the tougher matchup in Tannehill, right? I'm not gonna roll Tannehill. He gets a rushing touchdown, yada yada. But this was brutal. I don't know. Was it Dan Quinn knowing Matt Ryan? Is that part of it? Potentially that's part of it. But he looked awful in that game. And then they went to Wayne Gallman. So I don't know what they're gonna do moving forward.
That's where I was going next, though. Wayne Gallman. It's happening, right? I mean, look, Mike Davis was droppable for the longest time, held on to only in case something happened to Cordell Patterson. But yesterday, here, I'll give you, I was pulling it up. I clicked off the team on accident. Here we go. Cordell Patterson yesterday played 5 rushing snaps, 10 passing snaps, still led as the way things go. Wayne Gallman, 15 rushing snaps to just 4 for Mike Davis. 15 for 55 on the ground. Go pick up Wayne Gallman, right?
Sure. Yeah, because he wasn't active for a while. You're right. It hasn't worked out here for Mike Davis. Maybe they can switch and make the change to Wayne Gallman. This team is not out of it, believe it or not. Like what are they, 4-5? They're hanging
That's
around.
Why I said
They're
the NFC is crap.
It is crap. It's absolutely, it's top heavy. But the Falcons, maybe they need to make a switch here. I'm looking at the comments. It's just this joke like Phil Mike, I will never play Matt Ryan again, has been said many, many times before. Yeah, it has. I don't know, Jake, what they do. What do you think? That they make the switch and give Wayne Gallman a little bit more play?
I think Gallman's going to get the opportunity to take it going forward.
Yeah, why not?
Enough, finally, from Mike Davis, and Gallman did well yesterday. So on Dallas' side of things, you don't do the duck show with me, but I'm going to ask you this question, Chris. Amari Cooper and Dalton Schultz. How many ducks are you giving them after this one game? Because everybody who's back, that includes Michael Gallup, that's everybody's back.
Yeah.
It's a team that runs more than they did last year. Cooper left out for most of it. Schultz left out for most of it. Gallup doing things in his first game back. CeeDee Lamb had a big day with 2 touchdowns, but I don't even think CeeDee Lamb's that 100% reliable going forward. Like, how messy is this going forward? How concerned are you?
Yeah, I would be concerned. I'd give the most ducks to Schultz because he popped up when Gallup was hurt, right? I mean, he was just, I know there's no Blake Jarwin, but he was the guy that all of a sudden like benefited from no Michael Gallup. So the fact that Gallup, I'm looking to 41 snaps, 21 routes. I mean, the 41 snaps are right there, second on the team. That's his first game in since what, week 1? So he's only going to continue to trend up. I'd be concerned about everybody. I mean, I think you roll out all these guys anyways. Dak is the clear winner, but I would give the most ducks to Dalton Schultz. Like, I think he won't be ranked as a top 12 tight end for me. And I had him in the 5 and 6s at points of this season.
And here's why I include CeeDee Lamb in this. Do you want to guess out of everybody where he ranked in routes run yesterday?
Oh, geez. I think he was like 4th or 5th on his team.
Third. You were close.
Third?
So number 1 was Amari Cooper at 33. Schultz was 2 at 30. CeeDee Lamb was 22. And Gallup, as you mentioned in his first game back, was 21.
Okay, just behind him. Yeah. Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, Cooper could be a buy low. Not that I think he's going to have supreme consistency going forward. And that's my biggest thing is, like, I would sell high in CeeDee Lamb because I think a lot of people not looking, if you didn't watch that game and if you don't look at these routes and opportunities and you just sat back and saw, you'd be like, oh God, Lamb's the only safe one. Cooper's in a threat. Schultz is in, potential disarray and everything. No, I would sell high on Lamb and buy low on Cooper.
Yeah, I agree.
Not
I would agree
not
with
that I expect consistency. I would say like wide receiver 15 to 20 going forward.
Sure, Cooper, classic, right? That's what we've known for Cooper for years. Yeah, highs and lows.
And then, so here's what you do: you play them like the stock market. If your trade deadline's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 weeks out, like if you're a keeper league or you have a late trade deadline, you buy Cooper now, watch him go off for his 2 touchdowns this week, and then turn around and sell him. Like,
we've been doing that with Amari Cooper for 3 or 4 years now. Yeah. That's
really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So let's talk about DeAndre Swift because that's the only thing we can talk about in Detroit, right? That's it. Done. End this conversation. We already had that one. TJ Hawkinson and Gesicki's with big fat zeros this week, by the way.
That was shocking. The Hawkinson thing was shocking.
Well, I don't. Was it that shocking? Was it?
Yes.
It's Jared Goff, and he's missed them. Like we were just talking about at the beginning of the season, how concerned we were for Hawkinson.
I was shocked that he didn't even have a catch.
I wasn't shocked. I
didn't catch. I didn't have like 8 or
I was more shocked
Gesicki
Gesicki didn't have a catch. Gesicki had 753 targets. I was more shocked by that.
Fair. Yeah, he did have a lot of targets and 0 grabs. I mean, what an awful game. I don't know what there is really to say. Najee Harris comes out today. Says
that's why I want to ask you.
Says this stuff all the time.
That's why I wanted to ask you on the other side of it. Is this? You say there's nothing. So the Pittsburgh side is what the takeaway here is. Is it kind of a throwaway game because of Mason Rudolph and he just torpedoed that offense and Ben Roethlisberger hopefully should be back next week? And as crazy it might sound that he gives them life and you can still have hope for Freiermuth and Deontay and maybe if Claypool gets back soon?
Yeah, I guess. It does sound like he could miss another game, but if he comes back, you feel a lot better. It is crazy to say. Because
okay,
I don't think
so if Mason Rudolph is out there next week,
considering...
It's only Deontay and Harris, right?
What about Ray McLeod III? This guy gets 12 targets? What the heck? Like,
he's going to him and James Washington.
Right. I don't know. Like, if it's Mason Rudolph again, is he just going to pepper dude in the slot? Because
dude in the slot. It's Ray McLeod. You can just call him by his name.
Ray McLeod. I mean, he played the Juju Smith-Schuster role in the slot, and it was like easy.
So I will say this:
just like here you go. This is nonstop.
You know they get. They're in Los Angeles playing the Chargers. So and Ray McLeod could be walking into 12 more targets, and Mason Rudolph is at quarterback.
It's very possible. Yeah. I mean, it's what are we talking about here? The deepest of leagues to pick him up, but maybe a DFS dart throw or something if that's the quarterback.
Something like that. How about this? Yeah. We want to talk about offenses that have been destroyed by their quarterbacks. Did any offense get more destroyed by the replacement quarterback than Colt McCoy in the Arizona passing game yesterday? James Conner touchdown saved his day because Colt McCoy ruined that team. Ruined. If Kyler Murray's not back in week 11, do you start anybody outside of James Conner? And no, you don't. What if DeAndre Hopkins is back? Would you start DeAndre Hopkins? I think you kind of have to, right?
I think you do, but like, yeah, if I know that you get a lot of questions of people in 18 leagues and 10-team leagues. I wouldn't. What's wrong?
Barkley just let one go.
Barkley stinking up the joint. I love it.
It's time for Colt McCoy. She knew we were talking about
Colt McCoy. And what does it say about the Niners? Because last week Colt McCoy picked him apart. He was like 100 passer rating. I think 9.5 yards per pass attempt. I think he was like 21 for 26 or something silly like that. Yeah, I would start Hopkins in a 12-team league, but if you're in an 8-team or a 10-team, there's probably better options out there for you.
All right, so I buried the lead in this game.
Yeah, you did.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Yeah.
Cam is back. Tell your friends.
I think we heard him after that touchdown.
Wearing
Classic
hats. Cam
right?
is back.
I root for Cam. He's fun. Yeah. I like what he says before the game, how it's not about him. Keep going. I like how he says before the game, it's not about Cam, it's not about me at all, it's about winning. Like, and then his first touch, he has a rushing touchdown, and then it's all about Cam again. He yells 1,000 times, I'm back.
They want Marshall no more. Marshall's on the team. That's even part of the lyrics. They don't want no Marshall no more. They want Cam. Cam is back. Cam starting under center. No, there's no question he's starting this week. Cam Newton, is he a QB1? And is he going to continue to ruin Christian McCaffrey's touchdown upside? Because Christian McCaffrey had a bajillion yards, so that's okay.
Yeah. Yes to the latter, no to the former. I don't think he's a QB1, but he's borderline.
You don't?
No,
Cam,
I don't.
Cam Newton or Joe Burrow against the Raiders?
I would go with Joe Burrow.
Interesting.
I would go with Joe Burrow. Yeah.
We'll have to see where he finishes in the ranks. All right. Minnesota's Minnesota. Not much to talk about. Like, legitimately, like, what is there left? Minnesota's just the most simplest team to ever talk about in history.
They win games when you don't think they're going to, and they lose them when you think they're going to win. That's Minnesota right there in a nutshell.
Oh, they're in every single game, and for fantasy purposes, they're cut, paste, dry. Easy. Here's the question. Here's another one I'm going to save for tomorrow so you can just talk, not necessarily in duck terms, but concerns from Mike Williams and Justin Herbert, who's seemingly starting to get the NFL back to, like, the NFL figured him out late last year. He adjusted, came back. It seems like the NFL is starting to figure him out just a little bit again. And again, he's kind of middling in the middle of the quarterbacks, but he's not the Justin Herbert we hope for, and it's killing Mike Williams right now.
Yeah, Mike Williams, I'm really concerned about Williams. I know he's playing through something. I still view him as a buy low candidate if you can get him as your third wide receiver. But this is 4 straight games here now where, he's been sub 60 yards, 2 catches in 3 of the 4, only 4 grabs yesterday. I'm concerned about him. Would you go Cam Newton over Herbert? Would you trade Herbert for Cam? I mean, the rushing upside's always going to be there. It's crazy that he had his first 2 touches were touchdowns. Like, is Robbie Anderson back? I think you could feel maybe better about Robbie Anderson.
No, he's not.
Well, then how could you feel great about Cam? Like, you just hope that he gets you 40 rushing yards and a touchdown.
Oh my gosh, how did we run out of time here? We got like 1 minute. So we already talked about A.J. Dillon time. We have to cover that. We'll cover it in the waiver show and everything like that. Seattle side of things, are we throwing this out too? Russell Wilson came back too early. What the hell? I wasn't expecting a goose egg.
First shutout ever with Russell Wilson starting. He's never won in Green Bay. We can chalk it up to that. Maybe he just sucks in cold weather. Actually,
but do you have legitimately concerns in his second game?
I
Seattle's
don't.
home against Arizona.
I don't
Okay.
have concerns.
Last one. I only gave you 30 seconds to talk about your team, but the running backs for your Eagles, don't care. It's just
there's nothing to really talk about. Yeah.
Well, so that's the thing. DeVonta Smith is
becoming
a thing. Passing game for Denver is as junky as it gets. Here's the big question. Waiver show tomorrow. Make sure you tune in for Lauren at Chris Meaney, FTN, 20% off with code ALLIN, theathletic.com/BetsTV, all capitals, first free month. Before we get out of here, Chris, simple question. Would you drop Courtland Sutton?
No, but I wouldn't start him. Cop-out answer. You can't start this guy.
Would you drop Courtland Sutton? This is what we get out of here. Let me find it. Would you drop Courtland Sutton for Traquan Smith?
No, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
Hopefully you guys are back tomorrow. We love you all, and happy, what is today? Monday. Happy Monday, everybody.